Hey guys, welcome back. And for today, VS2PCG Deck Forger would like to present to you another deck courtesy of FHP VS2PCG Philippines. And for this instance, this is one of my favorite deck that we have created here in the Philippines. And this is called the Omega Project. Okay, so let's try to open up this particular deck coming from another light red box. And what do we have here? Of course, we have Weapon Omega. So actually, Weapon Omega is one of my favorite main characters in the Utopia battle set, and he's actually my favorite among all the other available main characters for the Hammer team. So Weapon Omega, show it closely to you. I'll try to focus the picture. Weapon Omega is a level 1, at level 1 is actually a 3 attack, 3 defense, 6 health main character with flight and range. What I like about this particular MC is how it will interact with the other mutant character cards in the game, most especially on your deck. So his first superpower is called Mutant Energy Absorption. And during the main phase, you may pay one blue power symbol. So for each X-Men, Brotherhood, and Mutant Resistance supporting character on your side, okay, they lose and can't gain powers. Now you can put a +1/+1 counter on Weapon Omega for each power lost this way. So this particular deck is actually built around a whole repertoire of, or a whole army of weenie mutant characters coming from 3 specific teams. And these are the X-Men team, the Resistance team, and of course the Brotherhood team. But for this particular deck that we have created, we focus mostly on the X-Men characters because most of their powers or superpowers and keyword powers actually synergize with the way Weapon Omega works in any tournament. So in order to level him up, his level up power is called the Collective, and you need 8 XP in order for him to level up to 2. So when a Weapon Omega gains a +1/+1 counter, he gains an XP. So you need at least 8 +1/+1 counters in order for you to level up Weapon Omega. So how do you do that? Well, actually we'll explain that later. And so once he gains those 8 +1/+1 counters, now he becomes level 2 and he becomes a 6 attack, 6 defense character with 6 health, with flight and range. And this time, from a superpower, his ability becomes a keyword power called Addicted to Mutant Energy. So as an X-Men, Mutant Resistance, or Brotherhood supporting character appears on your side, it loses and can't gain powers. So again, you still can put a +1/+1 counter on Weapon Omega for each power lost this way. So the difference between the level up power as against the level 2 powers of Weapon Omega is it's a superpower, so you need to activate it during the main phase and you still require a blue power symbol. But when it becomes level 2, then that keyword power now becomes automatic. So it's actually what's an X-Men, Mutant Resistance, or Brotherhood supporting character actually appears, they immediately lose their power. So they're stripped down of their powers, and those powers, or how many of them are lost, they now become +1/+1 counters to beef up Weapon Omega. So the main problem here is how do you get at least those 8, okay, so those 8 +1/+1 counters in order to level up Weapon Omega. So many of you will think that I have to use solo, or I can use the call or another set of Weapon Omega supporting characters in order to power him up, but actually it's different now. We'll try to discuss that and try to explain to you how this deck is supposed to work. Okay, so I'm going to place him here so that you can see him. Actually he has no level 3 now, so that's good. Now let's try to work out and try to dissect the entire deck. So let's start with the supporting characters. So actually there's many supporting characters for this particular deck, and of course the very first supporting character is the ever reliable Iceman. So Iceman is an X-Men supporting character at 1 drop. He is 2-1, 2 attack and 1 defense with range and 1 health. And his main keyword power is of course freeze. So when he appears, okay, exhaust a character and it can't ready during the next turn. Okay, so you have 4 copies of Iceman here. So it's also good since you have to understand that Weapon Omega is only a 3-3 when he begins at level 1, so he has rather small stats, and you need to have something like a stalling effect in order for you to prevent him from being stunned early on in the game. So you have 4 copies of Iceman in order to do that. Now we also have 4 copies of this Drell, and of course we have 4 copies of Shadow Cat, again from the X-Men team. So Shadow Cat is a 1 cost, 1/3, 1 attack, 3 defense character, supporting character with 1 health. Her power or keyword power is intangible escape. So during any combat, you can play a blue power symbol, and if an attacker, okay, or defender is on your side, put Shadow Cat next to it and cancel the combat. Use this power only while Shadow Cat is in your hand. So it's a very good defensive character, and actually she works better because once she's in your hand, since you can pay a blue power symbol during the combat phase, and when she appears, you have an extra character. At the same time, you cancel the combat, so you can prevent any direct attack from Weapon Omega in order to avoid him from getting stunned and losing those counters while he is growing, okay, going to level 2. So you have 4 copies of Shadow Cat. And of course, if Shadow Cat is in your deck, then you might better, of course, have her pet, and that is Lockheed. So Lockheed is a 1 cost, 2 attack, 2 defense supporting character from the X-Men team, but of course you can get him from the Galactic Guardians expansion set, and actually he has 2 health and flight. So his superpower is called Frumious Bandersnatch. So during combat, okay, you may choose one. Okay, so fire, Lockheed strikes with double his attack this combat, or you can also choose smoke. The defender can strike back this combat. And the good thing about Lockheed is he's a little bit durable at 2 health and he has flight. So again, you can also use him to protect, okay, your Weapon Omega, okay, while he's growing. And since Weapon Omega has both flight and range, you can always attack with him from the range position or at the back row. So also another good combination with Weapon Omega. And going to the 2 drop, of course we have 4 copies of Cyclops, and Cyclops is here because he has the most number of powers available for Weapon Omega to absorb. So briefly, Cyclops is a 2 drop X-Men supporting character, and he has 2 attack and 3 defense with range and 1 health. And besides the range, he's also a natural leader. So while he's team attacking, he chooses who the defender strikes back against. Okay, so and he also has battle tactics. So during the main phase, you can pay a red power symbol and move a character on your side to your front or back row. Okay, so this is a very good character to include in this deck. And also, one of my favorite characters, although he's the least used in Legacy. And we have the 2-drop Bishop with the asterisk. So Bishop is 2-2, 2 attack, 2 defense, supporting character from the X-Men team with 2 health and range. His keyword power is energy transference. So when you use a blue power symbol, blue superpower, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Bishop. So once you're about to pay for Weapon Omega's mutant energy absorption with 1 blue power symbol, automatically if Bishop is in play, before his power can be absorbed, he will gain at least 2 +1/+1 counters, so he becomes at least a 4/4 even before his powers are stripped down. Okay, you can place him in there. And what will make your Weapon Omega get those 8 or more +1/+1 counters to level him up is of course the one and only Hope Summers. Okay, so Hope Summers is a 2-drop X-Men supporting character with 2 attack and 4 defense and 1 health. And her keyword power is mutant power duplication. So Hope has all the powers of each other face-up X-Men supporting character on your side. So this will include the flight, the range, and appear powers like Iceman's freeze. So a very powerful character to use for to synergize with your Weapon Omega, which we will try to elaborate further later. Okay, so Hope Summers will go here. And in case if you're thinking that we're all mutants here, but no, in this deck we have 4 copies of Megan. So why? Because Megan will also grow in power, as we will try to elaborate later on. So Megan is a 2-drop, 2 attack, 2 defense, A4 supporting character with flight and range and 2 health. And her empathic metamorph enables you to pay 1 green power symbol during the main phase to put a +1/+1 counters or +1/+1 counters on Megan equal to the total number of +1/+1 counters on all other characters on your side. So I think you're getting the gist of what we're trying to do here. So later on, once we get to explain this, you'll be able to understand it better. Why we have Megan in this particular deck. Now we have added 2 ghosts. Well, actually, ghosts can be replaced with either a bullseye from the Hammer team or maybe a bigger character like, let's say, Mr. M to prevent those Dark Phoenix from dropping down. Or you can also put Ahab, so in order for you to replace some of the plot twists with Mutant Control Act. But for this particular deck, I just use Ghost because I just like to hit with her. Most especially those hiding in the back row, like Senator Kelly trying to get to win the game. So Ghost is also from the Hammer team, and she's the teammate of Weapon Omega, and he has 2 costs with a 3 attack, 3 defense, and range, and 1 health. So her first keyword power is intangible. So Ghost can strike or be struck in melee combat. And invisible, meaning Ghost doesn't protect characters and can attack protected characters. So she's really good because she can attack from the range position. And of course, when somebody wants to attack her at the back row, at the melee position, she cannot be struck back in turn. So it's very difficult to hit. Okay, but of course she is very optional in this deck. So again, you can replace her with other more powerful characters that you can use. Okay, so in order to help support you in the late games and in the late run of the games. Okay, and our final set of characters are 4 copies of Deadpool. And Deadpool is a 3 cost. Actually, he's the biggest character in your deck, and he's a 3 attack, 4 defense X-Men supporting character with range and 1 health. And he has mercenary, so he can team attack with any main character. So all the while better because he can team attack with Weapon Omega. And we put 4 copies of Deadpool here because can't keep a bad man down. So during the build phase, you can pay a green power symbol If Deadpool is in your KO file, put him into play. So later on, we will try to explain how you can bring him back again using another Deadpool in order for you to be able to, make him appear again using just one green power symbol without the need for him to be recruited. Then at the same time, when he appears, of course, he loses, okay, his 3 powers to Weapon Omega to beef him up with 3 additional +1/+1 counters. Then again, you can again play a green in order to bring one Deadpool in your KO pile, okay, back into the game, and this will knock out the first one. And again, his powers can be absorbed again, okay, by a level 2 Weapon Omega to give him a +3 +1/+1 counters. Okay, so that's why you put Deadpool here. Now we also have a copy of the nullifiers in order for us to be able to avoid those very nasty control cards like, of course, Dark Phoenixes, or even some superpowers that can actually stun or daze Weapon Omega in one blow. So we have put the nullifier here, and it's a one-of-a-kind equipment. So it says here, ultimate nullification. When a nullifier appears, name a keyword or superpower. Enemy characters lose and can't gain that power until the nullifier leaves play. Okay, so that's the only equipment in the deck. Now we go to our plot twist, and for this particular deck, we have put 4 copies of a Great Teacher. So why? Because once most of your mutants are already stripped down of their powers, and they are absorbed by Weapon Omega, it will leave them a little bit, powerless, of course, and they won't have any powers here anymore. So they're just left with their attack and defense stats, and also their health. So it's better for you to be able to use a plot twist deck, a Great Teacher, because during any combat, your main character may pay a red power symbol. If it does, choose a supporting character on your side in a combat to get +6/+0 this combat. So actually, a Great Teacher is good enough because, for example, with your Cyclops, once he loses his powers to Weapon Omega, then he just becomes a 2/3 with no flight or range or no other powers whatsoever. But then again, a Great Teacher can actually boost up your Cyclops to a whopping 8 attack. Okay, just with one plot twist. Okay, so very good. Okay, a very good plot twist to use in this deck. And we have included 4 copies of Uncanny Defense, okay, the new bump for VS2PCG. And for any combat, remove a defender on your side from combat and replace it with a different character on your side. Switch their positions. Okay, so I have 4 copies of this for you, of course, to defend yourself from attacks, okay, directed to Weapon Omega. So at least bump can help avoid a very huge stun for your main character. Okay, and for your other set of plot twists, we have 3 copies of X Factor. Because once Weapon Omega grows big enough, at least you can really use him well enough to, ready him again using X Factor, then attack with him for the second time around. So if you have at least another copy of X Factor in your hand, can again ready him again and attack with him again. Okay, and of course the last set of plot twists are 2 copies of Build a Better World for you to be able to of course turn one of your face down basic locations face up, and it can be done during the main phase and also during the any combat phase. And at the same time, you have 3 basic locations in your deck, so you have a red, blue, and green location, so at least you can use Build a Better World for them. And going down to the last set of cards are our locations. So you have 4 set of laboratory, mostly to be used for Weapon Omega's level 1 superpower. And of course, can also Bishop can also benefit from this use of the laboratory because he gains those 2+1/+1 counters. And we have also 4 green or 4 fortresses for your green power symbol, and this is most specially used for Megan's superpower in order to put those +1/+1 counters on her. And we have also 2 copies of Playing Ground in order for you to use them on your Great Teacher, so that you're able to pay and have that +6 attack as a bonus to any one of your supporting characters. And of course, the last set of our locations are 4 Hammer HQ. So 4 Hammer HQ can be used by Weapon Omega and can be also used by your main character in order as a red power symbol generator for a Great Teacher. Okay, so how does this deck work? So very simple enough. Let's try to explain this further. So during the first turn, let's say you have a Weapon Omega in play, and at least you have one in your one hand. In your hand, you have at least 1 Hammer HQ or maybe a blue power, blue laboratory location. Then you can play an Iceman during the first turn, well protected by Weapon Omega. And at the same time, let's say you have, or you are able to place a Cyclops or a Bishop during your second turn. And this is where the fun begins now, since if you already have a Lockheed, okay, on the third turn and you're able to play Hope Summers, then actually you can already effect a combo. So in this particular instance, Weapon Omega will pay a blue power symbol, and you will now be able to absorb all the mutants on the side of your board. So for example, it will count like this. Lockheed has at least 2 powers, 1, 2. Then you also have Cyclops with 3 powers, 1, 2, 3. That's the range. And of course you have Iceman with 2 powers, freeze and range. So that's a total of 7 already. Plus Hope Summers, mutant power duplication. Okay, that's the 8 power already. And mutant power duplication will now duplicate all the other powers in play from her fellow X-Men. So that's an additional 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So now Weapon Omega will have 13, okay, 13 +1/+1 counters. So that will bring him up to a 16 attack and 16 defense. But wait, since you have gained 8 +1/+1 counters, then he automatically, okay, becomes level 2. And when he becomes level 2, okay, that 13 +1/+1 counters will now, okay, increase his stats to at least a 19 attack, 19 defense, and all on the third turn. Okay, so surprise? Well, actually, this is what this is just the first thing, no? Because once you are able to play Megan on the succeeding turns, and you have a green power green location in play, since Weapon Omega already has 13 or more +1/+1 counters, all you need to do is just pay 1 green power symbol on Megan, and he will now gain, she will now gain 13 +1/+1 counters also. So that will bring her up to a 15 attack and 15 defense. So imagine you have a 19 attack, 19 defense Weapon Omega, and you have a 15 attack and 15 defense Megan, all to wallop your opponent's character. And wait, there's more, okay? There's more, because if you're able to drop Deadpool now during the later turns, let's say 4th turn or 5th turn, if you play, let's say you recruit Deadpool and you have another Deadpool which is on your hand or in your KO pile, but I would like it to have this, let's say, in the KO pile. Okay, so once you recruit Deadpool, okay, Deadpool now will give of course, Weapon Omega, and an additional +3/+3 counter. So last we checked, we already have 13+1/+1 counters, so that will increase Weapon Omega to 16+1/+1 counters. And if you have a green power symbol during the build phase, you can again recruit Deadpool from your KO pile going to your side of the board. So that will KO the original Deadpool. And since he has come into play, the fresh Deadpool will now give an additional +3/+3 counters again to Weapon Omega, bringing it to a 19+1/+1 counters, because okay, Weapon Omega gets to absorb them automatically. Okay, so now that is a very good combo for this particular guy. And at first, here in the Philippines, not everyone has noticed about what Weapon Omega can do, no? Because normally when they see his powers, they will say that why do we have to use this particular main character, because it only absorbs and absorbs and absorbs and nothing else. But then again, when we got a hint on how we can do it for him, then he has become a very viable character. Now, what do we have to watch out for? Of course, you have to watch out for some characters like Dark Phoenixes, the supporting character, which can remove the counters during the 9th turn. So much better if Weapon Omega, of course, can already grow big enough and you have at least a nullifier in play. So at least is too tough to to be attacked and can normally avoid being stunned using your uncanny defenses and of course your shadow cats. And at the same time, he can really withstand most of the other main big characters in the game like Gilgamesh or even Sentry, because he can grow as big as, let's say, 1919 or 2020 during the 3rd, 4th, and 5th turn. So long enough before even those big guys can actually drop. Okay, and you also have to avoid those instant daze effects from, let's say, Leviathan Beast or maybe from a net launcher, but again, those are really part of the game, so you really have to be aggressive as early as the 2nd turn or 3rd turn so that you're able to finish the game during the mid part of the match. Okay, so if I didn't miss out on anything, then again, once again, thank you very much for watching this video from VS2PCG Deck Forger. So we'd like to thank our sponsors, Forge Hobby Place, courtesy of Jed Vitario and Ogikura. And we also like to thank Teach for Them, www.teachforthem.com. You can actually download the online shopping app at Google Play Store. It's free, and you can use them to teach your friends or loved ones, or here in the Philippines we call it libre, even if you are abroad. So you can send gifts, food, treats, not just VS2PCG cards, but also other products like beauty products, health supplements, and other types of treats, so that you can show how much you care for them or how much they mean to you. And Teach for Them is free, so download it at any time at the Google Play Store, or you can visit www.teachforthem.com. And of course, we'd like also to thank Mr. Joe Vitelli and Mr. Benjamin Brosin of the Build Phase, and all the other guys, great guys from VS2PCG Collective. So once again guys, thank you for watching this Omega Project video, and hopefully we can see you again in the next episode of VS2PCG Deck Forger. Goodbye!